Emily was walking through town when her eyes widened in disbelief. Right before her, a missing person poster was a photograph of her younger self. She blinked several times, convinced that she must be mistaken. How could she be listed as missing? She was standing right there with trembling hands. Her heart raced as she read the accompanying text. Emily had only recently come back from her trip overseas. Though she had loved her time there, she had missed her time away from family and friends. She had made sure to keep in daily contact with them while she was away. One could only hope to understand the shock someone would feel upon seeing a missing person poster of themselves when casually walking around town. Emily had first been oblivious to it, not really bothering to look at flyers. Instead, she simply appreciated her time outside. The weather was now still great, but she also knew that the time of good weather would soon shift. It made her appreciate the small things, like going outside for a stroll and so much more. She never could have guessed how much everything would take a turn. It had been a coincidence the way she had stumbled upon it. Emily had been walking around rather aimlessly, just enjoying the scenery. She was never someone who would look at flyers, but she remembered that as she looked around and her eyes fell on a picture that resembled her own face, she had physically blanched. Who had orchestrated that? Was this some weird joke? She ripped the paper off the board that it had been nailed to. Emily Jameson missing person, it said in big, bold letters. Who had made this poster of her? She was clearly back in town and certainly not missing. The phone number wasn't necessarily one she instantly recognized, which worried her more. She had to get to the bottom of this. She studied the photo they had used and quickly concluded that it was an older picture of her. This one definitely dates back a few years. Maybe it had only been some strange prank, but Emily feared for something else. She wanted to brush it off as something silly, but noticed how this had been a relatively private photo, and certainly not one she had ever posted on her social media before. Emily needed a second opinion as she looked around her before folding the paper a few times and putting it in her bag. She had only just returned from her trip. Maybe one of her friends or family would know more about it. They could possibly confirm if those missing person posters had been hanging around for a longer period of time, or if they had only recently started to appear around town. Furthermore, was it only one, or were multiple posted around town? Before running off to find someone who would be able to help her find the person responsible, she decided to have a quick look around. She needed to ensure that his one poster was one of many, or simply an anomaly. If it was one, it could just be a strange sighting. But if there were more, something strange might be going on. Like her father once said, one is a fluke, and more is fate. As she was walking around and actively searching for the posters with her face on them, she soon found that, unfortunately, that one poster hadn't been a fluke. After finding the one, she only had to look around for a bit to find a second, and later a third, and even a fourth. She didn't feel the need to find every single one of them yet, but thought it could be helpful to bring multiple posters if she had to find out why they had started to appear out of nowhere. Emily knew what she had to do. She wouldn't go to people, depending on who she had thought had organized this silly prank, but people who would actually be able to find out who had done it. It wasn't a long walk before she arrived, but during her walk she had made sure to look out for more posters and had found a fifth one. Filled with anticipation and nerves, she knocked on a door. She really needed help with this. After knocking, she didn't have to wait too long on the porch. She had totally forgotten to give Heather a heads up that she was coming. Hopefully, she wouldn't be bothering her. Luckily, after maybe a 20-second wait, she could see her best friend through the glass of the door. But when she saw Emily, Heather didn't react as she had anticipated. Emily had simply expected Heather to walk forward calmly to open the door, but instead, as the look of recognition came over her face, she rushed towards the door. She yanked it open, being frozen after all the barriers were gone, and engulfing Emily in a big hug. Though Emily was grateful for Heather's response with the papers in her bag, she couldn't help but wonder if there was more to it than she had originally thought. "Oh my God!" Heather exclaimed as the two hugged each other. "I cannot believe you are back." "I missed you so much, Em," she said, as she was practically jumping with excitement. Emily smiled at her as the two looked at each other. "I missed you too, Heather. The best part about coming back from a trip is seeing you again," she said, and she meant it wholeheartedly. "However, I haven't just come here to talk about my trip." She paused, trying to think of a way to tell this crazy thing that had happened this morning. "I was on my morning walk, you know, the one I regularly do, and suddenly my eye caught something strange." As Emily tried to explain, she could see the increase of worry in her eyes. "There are posters of me all around town." Emily continued, reaching for her bag to show her best friend. "They are missing person posters, Heath. Have you heard anything about this?" Emily asked, finishing her monologue. Heather scanned the poster, and her eyebrows raised in confusion. From the look on her face, Emily knew she hadn't yet come across these. "I haven't seen these before, but I believe you. This is like super weird. We have to get to the bottom of this. Maybe we can try and find the person who put these up." "Do you recognize the phone number?" Heather asked, but Emily shook her head. Frowning, Heather ushered her friend inside her home. "If neither of us recognizes it, then we sure as hell will find out." Emily sat in her parents' living room, the posters spread out on the coffee table. Her parents, bewildered, exchanged glances. "We don't understand, Emily," her mother said, her voice tinged with concern. "You were always in touch. How could you be missing?" Her father, brow furrowed, added, "And this photo, it's from years ago. Why use it now?" The room was heavy with unanswered questions, the family's confusion mirroring Emily's own. At the local cafe, Emily met with her closest friends. As she unfolded the posters, their expressions shifted from curiosity to shock. "This makes no sense," Mark said, shaking his head. Sarah, equally stunned, added, "You were sending us photos and messages from your trip. How could you be missing?" Their disbelief was palpable, confirming Emily's suspicion that the posters were not a prank orchestrated by her inner circle. Later, Emily convened a larger group of acquaintances and extended family members, hoping someone might have a clue. But as each person reiterated their bafflement, the mystery only deepened. "We saw your social media updates regularly," her cousin remarked. "This is bizarre." The collective ignorance of her wider circle left Emily more perplexed than ever, the poster's origin remaining an enigma. Despite the prevailing confusion, Emily's friends rallied around her. "We'll figure this out together," Mark assured her. "You're not alone in this," Sarah added, squeezing her hand. Their support was a balm to Emily's frayed nerves. Though the mystery remained unsolved, the solidarity of her friends provided a semblance of comfort amidst the bewildering circumstances. The day ended with Emily feeling a mix of gratitude and frustration. Her loved ones, equally mystified, could offer no answers, but their shared bewilderment somehow brought them closer. As she lay in bed that night, Emily's mind raced with questions. The enigmatic nature of the posters bound them together in a collective quest for truth, a mystery they were determined to unravel. The next morning, Emily visited the local police station, seeking clarification. The officer on duty, after checking their records, looked up in surprise. "You were reported missing 3 weeks into your trip," he informed her. Emily's heart skipped a beat. "But I was in constant contact with everyone," she protested. The official nature of her missing status added a new, disquieting dimension to the puzzle. On her way home, Emily's mind raced. How could she have been officially missing? She remembered sending regular updates to her family, her friends, even to her workplace. The contradiction was maddening. Every message, every call she had made during her trip now seemed like pieces of a puzzle that refused to fit together. The more she thought about it, the more the situation defied logic. At home, Emily pored over her phone, scrolling through months of messages and emails. Each one was a testament to her active communication during her travels. She cross-checked dates, trying to pinpoint any gap that might explain the missing person report. But everything was as she remembered: regular, consistent communication. The absence of any anomaly in her digital trail only deepened the mystery. That evening, Emily sat with her travel journal, flipping through pages filled with experiences and reflections. She tried to recall every detail of her journey, searching for anything out of the ordinary. But her memories were just as she had documented: vibrant, joyful, unmarred by any hint of trouble. Her journey, once a source of fond memories, now seemed to hold hidden shadows she couldn't grasp. Determined to unravel the mystery, Emily decided to take a more proactive approach. "There has to be an explanation," she muttered to herself. The next day would be one of digging deeper, of chasing down every lead, no matter how small. As she drifted into a restless sleep, her resolve hardened. She would uncover the truth behind the bizarre and unsettling enigma of the missing person posters. Emily's fingers trembled as she dialed the number from the poster. After 2 rings, a voice answered, hesitant, shaky. "Hello?" it whispered. Emily introduced herself, and the voice faltered, a hint of fear palpable. "Who is this?" Emily asked, but before she could get more, the line went dead. The call, brief and unsettling, left her heart pounding, the mystery now cloaked in a new layer of unease. Staring at her phone, Emily replayed the call in her mind. It had been too brief to glean any real information, yet the voice's nervous tone lingered in her ears. Why had they hung up so abruptly? Were they scared, or was it something more? Each unanswered question seemed to lead to another, the mystery spiraling deeper with each passing moment. In the quiet of her room, Emily pondered over the call. The voice was unfamiliar, tinged with an emotion she couldn't quite place. Fear? Guilt? She dissected each word, each pause, hoping to find a clue, but the conversation was too brief, the voice too guarded. Frustrated, she realized that this new lead, rather than providing answers, had only complicated things further. The next day, Emily met Heather at a small cafe. Over coffee, she relayed the details of the mysterious call. Heather listened intently, her brow furrowed. "This is getting weirder by the minute," Heather said, echoing Emily's thoughts. The shared concern between them was palpable, their conversation a mix of theories and disbelief, each possibility more baffling than the last. As they left the cafe, Emily and Heather's resolve hardened. "We need to find out who's behind this," Emily declared, determination in her voice. They brainstormed ideas, from tracking the phone number to revisiting the locations of the posters. The path ahead was unclear, but their shared determination was a guiding light, pushing them forward in their quest for the truth. With a folder of evidence in hand, Emily and Heather approached the police station. Inside, they were met with a mix of curiosity and concern as they explained their situation. The officers listened, their expressions turning from skepticism to intrigue. The story of the mysterious posters and the disconnected call piqued their interest, prompting them to take the case more seriously. An officer confirmed Emily's status as a missing person, his tone reflecting the peculiarity of the situation. "It's unusual," he admitted. "No family report, yet you're listed as missing." Emily's confusion deepened. The official recognition of her missing status, juxtaposed with her physical presence, added a surreal quality to the unfolding drama. The officers, intrigued by the case's uniqueness, assured Emily and Heather they would investigate. "We'll look into the phone number and the origin of these posters," one promised. The acknowledgement of the case's oddity by the authorities was a small comfort to Emily, yet it underscored the seriousness of her predicament. Emily watched as the officers noted down the phone number from the poster. "We'll trace this," one said, tapping at his computer. The potential of uncovering the identity behind the number offered a glimmer of hope, yet Emily couldn't shake off a sense of foreboding.
Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story.
The mystery of the number loomed large, a key piece in an increasingly complex puzzle. Leaving the police station, Emily felt a mix of hope and anxiety. The investigation was now in motion, but the waiting was torturous. Each day without answers was a test of patience. Heather squeezed her hand reassuringly as they walked away. "We're closer than before," she said, trying to sound optimistic. Together, they stepped into the uncertainty of the days ahead, hopeful for a breakthrough. One morning, as Emily sifted through her emails, a cryptic message caught her eye. It was from an unknown sender, its contents enigmatic and unsettling. The email hinted at secrets from Emily's past, mentioning places and events only she would know. The tone was eerie, almost taunting, as if the sender knew her intimately. Chills ran down Emily's spine as she pondered the implications of this unexpected communication. Emily met Heather at her apartment, the email displayed on her laptop. Together, they pored over every word, every phrase, trying to decode its hidden meaning. "Could this be about your childhood?" Heather suggested, pointing to a reference about a childhood park. They analyzed each line, searching for clues, the air thick with concentration. The message was a puzzle, each word a potential key to understanding the larger mystery. As they delved deeper, it became clear that the email was intimately connected to Emily's past. References to her early life, to moments and memories long forgotten, were sprinkled throughout the message. "Whoever wrote this knows me," Emily realized, a sense of unease growing within her. The personal nature of the email suggested that the posters weren't a random act, but tied to something or someone from her past. The cryptic email had ignited a new fire in Emily's quest. With each clue, each veiled reference to her past, her determination grew. She found herself revisiting old memories, looking at them through a new lens. The mystery of her past, intertwined with the present confusion, added layers to the enigma. Emily's intrigue intensified, her resolve to uncover the truth stronger than ever. Armed with the new, albeit perplexing, information from the email, Emily and Heather strategized their next steps. "We need to dig deeper into your past," Heather suggested. They planned to revisit Emily's old haunts, talk to people from her early life, and search for any link that could connect the dots. The path ahead was uncertain, but Emily was ready to follow wherever it led, driven by a newfound urgency to uncover the truth. Emily sat down with her parents, the weight of the situation heavy in the air. "Is there anything from my past, anything at all that might explain this?" she asked, a mix of desperation and hope in her voice. Her parents exchanged a troubled glance, delving into memories, recounting stories from her childhood. Yet, nothing they said shed light on the mystery, their past recollections offering no clear answers. Emily reached out to friends from her childhood, each meeting filled with a blend of nostalgia and inquiry. She revisited old neighborhoods, talking to people she hadn't seen in years. "Do you remember anything unusual about when we were kids?" she asked. Each conversation revealed tidbits of their shared past, but nothing that seemed connected to the current mystery. However, each interaction left Emily with a sense of growing intrigue. Back at home, Emily sifted through boxes of old photos and diaries, her past sprawled out before her. She scrutinized each image, each written word, searching for any clue that might have been overlooked. Old letters, school reports, and childhood drawings. Each piece was a fragment of her history, yet none provided the key to unravel the perplexing situation she found herself in. As Emily delved deeper into her past, small fragments of information began to surface. A forgotten incident here, a strange coincidence there. She started piecing together these snippets, trying to form a coherent picture. Each discovery, no matter how small, felt like a step closer to understanding. The puzzle was complex, the picture still blurry, but Emily felt she was on the cusp of something significant. Gradually, patterns began to emerge from the mosaic of Emily's past. Inconsistencies in stories she had always believed, gaps in her memories, and odd coincidences started to stand out. These revelations sparked new theories in her mind. Was it possible that there was a part of her life, a chapter long closed, that held the key to the current mystery? Emily's determination grew as she prepared to explore these newly uncovered pathways. Emily's phone buzzed with an anonymous message. "I've seen you in places you've never mentioned." The message listed several locations, none familiar to Emily. Her mind raced. Had someone been impersonating her? The tip was unsettling, casting a shadow of doubt over her understanding of the past few months. This unexpected lead added a new, perplexing dimension to the unfolding mystery. The idea of someone else living a life parallel to hers was both intriguing and disturbing. Emily shared the anonymous tip with Heather, who was equally baffled. "Could someone be using your identity?" Heather pondered. The possibility of an identity mix-up or a double life scenario seemed increasingly plausible. They mulled over the implications, the theory adding a surreal twist to Emily's already complicated situation. Determined to explore this new angle, Emily and Heather began a meticulous collection of evidence. They mapped out the locations mentioned in the tip, cross-referencing them with Emily's own whereabouts. Each piece of data was carefully analyzed, compared, and documented. This methodical approach brought a sense of control to the chaos, their efforts converging into a clearer, albeit still incomplete picture. As they pieced together the information, patterns began to emerge. There were undeniable discrepancies between Emily's memories and the sightings reported in the tip. Some locations coincided with times Emily was elsewhere, documented through photos and messages. This growing evidence pointed toward a case of mistaken identity, each discovery leading them closer to a potential explanation for the bizarre series of events. With a mix of apprehension and resolve, Emily decided to pursue this promising lead. The idea of someone masquerading as her, intentionally or not, was a thread that needed unraveling. She and Heather planned their next steps, preparing to delve into these newly discovered paths. The journey ahead was uncertain, but Emily was determined to follow it, driven by a need to uncover the truth behind the enigmatic occurrences. In an unexpected turn, Emily and Heather stumbled upon hidden camera footage online. The video showed someone strikingly similar to Emily, yet it was definitely not her. The doppelganger moved through various locations, some eerily familiar, others completely foreign to Emily. The resemblance was uncanny, sending a shiver down her spine. This footage was a significant breakthrough, adding an intriguing yet disturbing layer to the mystery. They spent hours scrutinizing the footage, pausing at key moments to study the background and the impersonator's actions. The locations were diverse, ranging from a quaint cafe Emily had never visited to a park she frequented as a child. The more they watched, the more questions arose. Who was this person? And why did they bear such a striking resemblance to Emily? The puzzle was becoming more complex with each frame. The discovery of the footage plunged Emily deeper into the web of mystery. It was as if she was looking at a parallel version of her life, played out by an unknown actor. This revelation raised more questions than answers. The existence of a look-alike added an unexpected twist, complicating Emily's search for truth. She felt both intrigued and unsettled by this new development. Determined to understand the connection, Emily and Heather decided to trace the locations shown in the footage. They created a map, marking each spot the doppelganger had been seen. This tangible plan of action brought a sense of purpose. Emily felt a combination of nerves and excitement as they prepared to embark on this new phase of their investigation, following the trail of the mysterious look-alike. Their investigation led them to the decision to visit a remote town featured prominently in the footage. It was a place Emily had never been to, yet held a prominent presence in the life of her mysterious double. With bags packed and the map in hand, Emily and Heather set off on their journey, filled with anticipation. They hoped that this town would hold the key to unlocking the enigma surrounding Emily's strange situation. Emily and Heather arrived in the remote town, a sense of uncertainty hanging in the air. The town, quaint and unfamiliar, held the promise of answers yet undiscovered. They began their investigation tentatively, asking locals about the places shown in the footage and inquiring about any residents who resembled Emily. Each interaction, each question, brought them closer to uncovering the truth hidden within this quiet community. Their inquiries led them to a small local library where they delved into public records and old newspapers. It was there they found it, documentation of a girl who looked exactly like Emily. The records detailed a life parallel, yet distinctly different from Emily's own. The discovery was both startling and enlightening, offering a tangible link to the mysterious doppelganger who had unwittingly upended Emily's life. As they pored over the records, the similarities between Emily and the girl in the documents were undeniable. Yet, the life detailed in these pages was not Emily's. This girl had attended different schools, lived in different houses, and had a different set of friends. The stark contrast between their lives, set against the backdrop of their shared appearance, was both fascinating and bewildering to Emily. Armed with the new evidence, Emily confronted her parents. She presented the records, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and anticipation. The conversation was tense, filled with emotional undercurrents. Her parents, faced with the undeniable evidence, struggled with their response. It was a moment of reckoning, a confrontation that would unveil long-buried secrets from Emily's past. In a moment laden with emotion, Emily's parents revealed a life-altering truth. She had a twin sister, Emma, separated from her at birth under mysterious circumstances. The revelation sent waves of shock through Emily. Her entire life, as she knew it, had been incomplete. The existence of Emma, her mirror image living a separate life, was a revelation that reshaped Emily's identity and the narrative of her life. With the revelation of her twin sister, Emily embarked on a journey filled with determination and hope. The search for Emma became a mission, guiding Emily through unknown paths and emotional landscapes. She followed every lead, every hint that could bring her closer to Emma. The journey was not just about finding her twin. It was a quest to reclaim a lost part of herself. After relentless searching, Emily finally located Emma. The moment they met, it was as if two halves of a whole were reunited. The meeting was charged with emotion, a mixture of joy, disbelief, and a sense of surreal fulfillment. They stood face to face, mirror images of each other, their connection immediate and profound. It was a moment of profound significance, marking the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. In a quiet cafe, Emma shared her story. She confessed to creating the missing person posters as a desperate cry for help, a way to reach out to the family she had never known. Her voice trembled with the weight of years spent in longing and uncertainty. For Emily, hearing Emma's confession was both heartbreaking and illuminating, shedding light on the mysterious events that had led them to this moment. As they talked, Emily and Emma unraveled the threads of their separate lives. They shared stories, compared experiences, and marveled at their parallel existences. It was a journey of discovery, as each sister unveiled parts of her life that the other had missed. They explored the depths of the deception that had kept them apart, a deception that had shaped their identities and destinies. The story concluded with Emily and Emma starting to rebuild their relationship. They embraced their newfound bond, a connection that transcended the years of separation. Together, they faced the reality of their shared history and looked forward to a future filled with possibilities. It was a new beginning for both, a chance to explore the world as sisters, united by blood and bound by an unbreakable bond of familial love